Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Hasina Arjamand.
And I'm Lavisa Sayed. Here are some of the stories we're following today from the On the Record newsroom.
There will be an emergency meeting in Ottawa tomorrow about Canadian preparedness for the upcoming Trump presidency. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has called the provincial and territorial leaders to the capital. It was just last night on Truth Social that Trump said he'd impose a 25% tariff on any goods coming into the U.S. from Canada and Mexico, starting day one of his presidency. Trump said the tariffs would stay in place until the two countries stop illegal border crossings and the entry of illegal drugs such as fentanyl.
Legal arguments have begun in the sexual assault case against 5 former members of Canada's World Junior Hockey team. The 5 are all now NHL players. They were charged earlier this year in connection with an event that allegedly took place in London, Ontario in 2018. Their trial by jury is set to begin next April. Lawyers say all 5 will plead not guilty. And seeing as we're talking about hockey, let's now get a rundown of the season for the teams here at TMU. We're joined now by OTR reporter Belle O'Neill. Hi Belle, thanks for coming in. Tell us, what has the season looked like so far?
Thanks so much for having me, ladies. It's been a roller coaster of a season, with the men's team holding an even 8 wins and 8 losses. With 12 games left in the season, we're currently tied with Guelph for a middle-of-the-pack position in the West Conference. So currently, we are not sitting in a playoff spot. However, both the Bold and Guelph have also played the most games, so that spot is guaranteed to change as the rest of the teams in the division catch up.
Belle, you mentioned the boys aren't currently in a playoff position. What part of the team's game is going to help them make that playoff push?
So same as years prior, if the Bold can do one thing well, it's our power play. Their 1-3-1 setup has been wildly successful for the defensemen quarterbacking up top, primarily for first liner Jaden Kendata. Another top line contributor to our power play this year has been Connor Bowie, who has been racking up goals and assists in the bumper position. Hasina, I've brought along some visuals from my producer Carly, who shot some absolutely lovely footage. And believe me, it is hard to shoot in an ice rink. Let's have a look and I'll kind of talk us through it. It's a bit of a medley between various games in recent days and weeks. Okay, let's roll that tape. Here we have the TMU Bold players waiting on the bench, followed by a successful face-off win in our most recent game against Western. Now we have some on-ice action with a big hit incoming from Connor Bowie. And the celebration from one of many of Jaden Kendata's goals. Finally, nothing gets the Bold going like their fans. Here we have a young fan cheering on the Bold as they make their way into the tunnel.
Okay, that's great, Belle. Thanks so much for coming on our show today.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, ladies.
And later in our show, we'll have yet more sports for you from reporter Kiera Osborne.
In other news, convicted murderer Paul Bernardo is having a parole hearing today, and the families of his 2 victims, Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey, are there to give impact statements. The parole board originally denied their applications to attend, but backed down in the face of a public outcry. Bernardo is serving a life sentence for the kidnapping, sexual assault, and murder of teenagers Kristen French and Leslie Mahaffey in the mid-1990s.
Now, let's have a look at the other stories we're working on today and this final week in our On the Record newsroom. Standing by live in the newsroom is OTR reporter Alexa DiFrancesco. Alexa, what have you got for us?
Thanks, Celina. Well, it's here already, our final news flash of the year. And our reporters are working hard in the newsroom to bring you their final stories of the semester. But before we dive into that, we have some major news. And it's not looking good for some of Toronto's bike lanes. Bill 212 has passed, and it permits the removal of some of the city's main bike lanes. OTR reporter Dima Mironov looked into this story for us just last week, and today he's here with me for another update. Dima, what can you tell us?
That's right, Alexa. Bill 212 did pass, 66 for, 27 against, and received immediate royal assent, meaning it's now law. I know, blink and you missed it. First reading was only last month.
Wow, that does seem fast. So now what happens?
Well, bike lanes on Bloor, Young, and University are all at risk. Premier Ford wants them ripped out, so they'll probably be ripped out. Although when, who knows, nor do we know how precisely it's going to be paid for, whether that's the city, the province, or a combination. No information has been released so far. Ford says the removal of bike lanes will improve traffic flow, but the City of Toronto begs to differ. The city manager says removing the bike lanes will be a multi-year project, making traffic worse while it drags out. As well, no surprise, the city and the province also disagree about the cost. The city says it will cost around $48 million of taxpayers' money. The province says the cost will be lower than that.
Okay, thanks so much, Dima. And I know we're all looking forward to more traffic and chaos in the downtown core. You know what else is in the downtown core? TMU. Our school's annual sport versus media game was back at the Mattamy Athletic Center on Saturday, pitting some of our school's sportiest students with some of its artsiest students, all to raise money for charity. This year's winner, Team Sport, but I think they were at an advantage there. Anyway, OTR reporter Kinza Zafar will have more online on all the excitement from the game. Now, on to education. It's official. Kids are getting meaner in schools, and new research backs that up. A new study from Brock University surveyed 308 Ontario kids, aged 9 to 14, about if they've ever engaged in rude or disruptive behavior. They also spoke with 101 educators about their experiences. That data shows a big jump in classroom rudeness. OTR reporter and one of today's hosts, Celina Chugani, is chasing the story, and we'll have more soon on our website. So be sure to visit ontherecordnews.ca for these stories, along with many more going live this week. Now back to you, Celina and Lavisa.
Thanks, Alexa. Now let's have a quick look at what to expect in the weather this week. Here's Adriana Fallico.
We are now really starting to feel that brisk autumn air, so be sure to bundle up. A large part of the GTA is seeing a 40% chance of rain today, including Toronto, Mississauga, Brampton, and Hamilton. St. Catharines is actually the warmest area with a 7-degree high. Kitchener, Guelph, Oshawa, and Newmarket are seeing a high of 4 degrees, and the lowest temperature will be in Barrie and Peterborough with a high of 3 degrees. It might be handy to carry an umbrella with you wherever you go. Looking at Toronto's forecast for the rest of the week, we are actually seeing the possibility of some light flurries. Wednesday will be cloudy with a high of 4 degrees, and Thursday is expected to be a high of 3 degrees with that slight chance of flurries. Friday will be a high of 2 degrees, and Saturday will be a high of 1 degree. But again, those 3 days will have the possibility of light snow. And that's your weather update. For On the Record News, I'm Adriana Fallico.
Thanks, Adriana. Lavisa, I mean, we did have a pretty great and beautiful fall, right? Maybe that will make the sub-zero temperatures easier to take.
Easier to take? No. It's like nature buttering us up before slapping us with the deep freeze. All right, let's have a look at what's happening in entertainment. Here's Claire Dufourd.
Thanks. For this week's entertainment news, fans of The Wizard of Oz have a lot to be happy about. Wicked is the prequel to the beloved 1939 movie that starred Judy Garland and whose Wicked Witch of the West frightened generations. The movie was released on Saturday. Ariana Grande is in it, along with Cynthia Erivo and Jonathan Bailey. It follows the evil witch Elphaba as she forms an unlikely friendship with her heroic counterpart Glinda, the Good Witch of the North. Wicked has already made more than $45 million at the domestic US box office. In music news, Kendrick Lamar surprised just about everyone by dropping a new album. GNX, which features 12 new songs, is the artist's 6th album. On it, Lamar collaborates with several musicians, Jack Antonoff, SZA, and Kamasi Washington, to name 3. Finally, Toronto said farewell to Taylor Swift on Saturday night as the singer hosted her final show at the Rogers Centre. And that's all for your entertainment news this week. Back to you, Lavisa and Celina.
Thanks, Claire. And as promised earlier in our show, we have more sports for you today. Here's Kiera Osborne. Kiera?
Thanks, and welcome to your sports update. Sidney Crosby added another milestone to his belt this weekend, grabbing the 600th goal of his NHL career. And while it was cause for brief celebration, the good times quickly turned to disappointment, as the monumental goal ended up being the only goal scored by Pittsburgh that night. This was a home game against Utah Hockey Club that Pittsburgh ultimately lost 6-1. The crowd gave a standing ovation when the goal was announced, and Crosby described it as a cool moment, but also said that scoring such a monumentous goal in a losing game was not enjoyable. Crosby scored the goal with 10 seconds left on a 5-on-3 power play in the second period of the game, bringing the score to 2-1. Utah scored their third goal shortly after, and the game quickly got away from the Penguins. Shifting over to motorsports, Red Bull's Max Verstappen took home his fourth consecutive Formula One World Championship title at the Las Vegas Grand Prix this weekend. To win the title in Las Vegas, Verstappen needed to finish in front of his championship rival, Lando Norris of McLaren. And he did just that, finishing in fifth, with Norris right behind him in sixth. The race was won by George Russell, driving for Mercedes, though his win was largely overshadowed by Verstappen, who now stands among only 5 other drivers to win at least 4 world championships. But the 2024 season isn't over just yet. A new race week kicks off in Qatar this Friday, with the final race taking place in Abu Dhabi the week after. In university football, and closer to home, the Laval Rouge et Or were victorious over the Laurier Golden Hawks, 22-17, winning the Vanier Cup in Kingston over the weekend. Philippe Thorteza kicked the team to victory, scoring 6 field goals in one game, a new Vanier Cup record. Although Thorteza had done some part-time kicking in high school, the record breaker only began his kicking field goals regularly this season, after Laval coaches noticed his powerful legs. Thorteza described the transition to kicking as heartbreaking because he liked hitting people. But luckily for Laval, he ended up liking the pressure of the new position. Unsurprisingly, Thorteza took home MVP of the game. That's all through this week's sport news. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Kiera. And if you're worried that you missed out on the fun from university sports this semester, don't fret. There will be more theme nights in the upcoming winter semester. Watch for Winter Homecoming, the Rivalry Series, and Beach Night. Here's the kind of thing you'll be in for. Reporter Celina Chugani and producer Adriana Fallico checked out the TMU block party that happened earlier this month.
The theme night was the first of 6 scheduled theme nights throughout the athletics department. Andrea Langford is marketing and events coordinator for the Bold.
We're trying to bring out more people who don't normally go to sports games and kind of create a fun just environment and atmosphere for people to enjoy, whether they like volleyball or not. We just want it to be kind of a fun place for people to gather and to be in.
Students can enjoy free food and snacks and games like volleyball, beer pong, and tic-tac-toe basketball and pool. They can purchase baked goods for the university's dance team. They're encouraged to cheer their hardest every time a Bold player blocks an opponent's shot on the volleyball court. Julie Gordon is assistant coach of the women's volleyball team.
I really believe that that's like such an opportunity to make core memories as a student, like dressing up in your Bold gear, whatever school you're attending, and like looking back at like photos or like just different stuff. Like that truly is what it is to be in the university experience.
The TMU Bold women's volleyball team faced off against the Ottawa GGs. That was followed by a matchup between the Bold men team and Trent Excalibur.
Both teams brought home the win, bumping, setting, and serving in style. For On the Record News, I'm Celina Chugani.
And finally today, as you've heard, today is our last broadcast for the fall 2024 semester. And this is the last production week for our OTR Masthead Newsroom. So we've got a treat for you. Here's ACE reporter Kinza Zafar with a look at some of our top stories from On the Record this past semester.
From covering rallies to recalls to rats and runways, it's sure been a busy semester here at On the Record, where our team has been working around the clock to bring you news you can use. As the semester comes to an end, let's take a moment to reflect on some of our best work so far. On the broadcast side of things, reporter Grace Strazen and producer Joshua Joseph covered the growing rat problem in Toronto. Let's take a look.
A tale as old as time of man versus beast. Just that, Toronto's battle with beasts has been with furry little critters that we only know too well. Forget the wolves of Wall Street, Toronto has rats. Lots of them.
Our next top story comes from Sana Law, who covered a local designer's road to a runway debut at Toronto's biggest fashion week. Let's watch some of that back and listen to Sana's experience about her reporting.
Fashion Art Toronto, here we are. Anatol's collection is up next.
The time has come, the lights turn up. Tristan Anatol and his startup label Tailored Noise hit the catwalk.
The collection features 23 looks.
Anatol said each of the look represents part of the emotional journey that all artists experience when working on a passion project.
Basically, it was like excitement, pressure, doubt, stagnant, chaos, and then into soaring.
It was really good. Not only did I get to experience Fashion Week, but we got to go behind the scenes and see how the designer was preparing for his Fashion Week debut. It was a little difficult to not be distracted by all the glitz and glamour of it all, but at the end we got some super cool visuals, and putting together the editing and putting together all the visuals and stuff was my favorite part. So it was really fun to do it all over again.
And now on the tech side of things, reporter Belle O'Neill dived into the world of youth gambling and its influences on our student population.
BetStamp is hiring sports betting ambassador positions to promote its brand on social media and throw viewing parties, while offering target-driven incentives like PS5s and TVs. The Toronto-based platform does not explicitly target students or young adults. However, LinkedIn data reveals that more than 25 university and college-age students currently hold or have held the position.
And finally, our last top story comes from Dima Mironov, who for our website covered a detrimental mercury poisoning crisis in Grassy Narrows and how Indigenous activists and allies are fighting for change.
The community is still reeling from the effects of mercury in their waterways and waiting for a solution. For myself, I do have mercury. I have symptoms. Sometimes I get shaky and I can't hold my stuff right, said Lex, one of the participating protesters. High amounts of mercury have been found in fish local to the English Wabigoon River, clocking in at 30 to 40 times the provincial guideline for acceptable mercury levels in food.
So I was kind of just running around trying not to interrupt the protest and at the same time trying to find someone who was both willing and comfortable to talk to me with my little recorder and my microphone. I didn't end up finding the media liaison, but I did end up finding my source for that story, Lex, who was personally affected by the mercury poisoning, which was, you know, a really big moment for me in reporting that story, because it's reading about it is one thing, but hearing it from a person that was actually affected is a completely different thing, and that's on a whole other level of understanding.
This has been a great semester here at OTR Newsroom, where our homepage has been packed with articles, broadcasts, and podcasts for you to stay informed. Thank you to you, our readers, for clicking on our work, to our instructors for guiding us through, and to the entire OTR masthead for pushing out some incredible work this semester. For On the Record News, I'm Kinza Zafar.
Wow, thanks Kinza. That was such an incredible summary of this semester's newsroom. I can't believe it's over. Time really does fly.
Watching that OTR semester recap really brought us to the end of our time here at TMU. And it really is a special moment for us, isn't it, Lavisa?
Absolutely. 4 years of university and 4 years of working side by side with you. From first year nerves to running the show. What a ride it's been.
Remember our first story together, the expose on the Hockey Canada assault case? I remember the panel we went to with Rick Westhead.
How could I forget? Especially when all our footage got deleted off the SD card after. What a journey.
But really, I couldn't have asked for a better partner in crime. You kept me sane during late nights, deadlines, and more coffee than I can admit.
And you've been my rock, Hasina. Here's to many more years of friendship, hard work, and wherever the next chapter takes us.
And so that is all for On the Record this Tuesday, November 26th. I'm Hasina Arjamand.
And I'm Lavisa Sayed. It's been a pleasure bringing you all the latest throughout the semester. Watch for the new OTR crew sitting in these very seats in the new year.
In the meantime, we wish you a great end of semester and all the best for the holidays.